Part 46. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 451. After all, if this is the most beautiful girl in grade, few boys can stop her if she takes the initiative to pursue her. What's more, Houtarou is the type who can't refuse a girl. Hui then concentrated, thinking about why Houtarou is so easily picked on by girls. But Kushida, who is good at observing the atmosphere, found it a bit strange. Because there is something wrong with Kuruzawa-san's expression today. It seems to be on alert. And Kuruzawa Megami. Kuruzawa, this guy, must have changed into a new perfume, and it also smells of jasmine. Not only that. Kushida could tell that Kuruzawa occasionally had the aura of Oreki Houtarou on his body. As a victim who has been doing this 3 times a week for almost a year, Kushida knows nothing more about Houtarou Oreki's aura. For example, you can recognize him by seeing his back, and you can find out who is related to him just by smelling him. In recent times, Ichino-san seems to be trying to please Oreki Houtarou. And Kuruzawa? Click, click, click dash. This is the sound of flipping through the vocabulary book. He is a person who is indifferent to other people's affairs. Horikita Suzun was still reading the vocabulary book. On the next floor, another student came up. Good morning, Jia Jia. They are also classmates. It should be said that they are all in the same building. It's Sakura Eri, who's as cute as a little animal. Then the person who has been in the elevator is Hospi Poruga. Baruga is a neutral person. She can have a good conversation whether it's Kushida's side, Onodera's side, or Kuruzawa Megami's side. This makes Zayawai a little envious. But she has been defending Sakura Eri recently. Sakura is cute. Everybody knows. After all, they had seen her true appearance, which shocked the girls. But Sakura is very low-key. And Sakura is a master of photography and often takes photos of Oreki-san for everyone to collect. So girls actually have a pretty good sense of her. Kuruzawa knew that Sakura Eri was afraid of her, so he also entrusted Shinohara-san to get Oreki-san's photo from Sakura. Soon. Because the elevator door opened, students from other classes came up. Good morning, everyone dash. It's Hanami Ichino's from Class B, 1st grade. She has long golden pink hair, a cute face, and a strong affinity. This makes her very popular. Moreover, Ichino-san is the kind of person with a beautiful heart and a kind heart, that is to say, the type of bad guy who has almost disappeared from society. And this kind of girl is so annoying. Good morning, Ichino-san. The first person to greet Ichino's was Kushida-san. Kushida-san is similar to Ichino's in that they both have many friends. Morning. Zayawai also chose to greet her. Good morning, Horikita-san. Ichino's approached Horikita. Morning. It was very rare that Horikita Suzun, who didn't speak much after getting on the elevator, replied to Ichino's Hanami. It seems that Ichino's also conquered Horikita. This is what everyone is thinking. Ah. Ichino's. Kushida-san discovered a blind spot. Have you changed your perfume today? Ichino-san has a natural body fragrance, which is probably a characteristic of a super beautiful girl. Recently, Ichino-san wears jasmine-scented perfume. But it seems to have been replaced today. Take a whiff. It smells good. It turns into a citrus smell. Ah, have you been discovered? Ichino-san looked a little embarrassed. The previous perfume didn't seem to be very popular, so I changed it to another one. I don't know if there is any problem. It's citrusy. Bolyagia, who likes gossip, immediately started talking. The taste is a bit bland, but very refreshing. Sato-san is also interested. Hey. Ichino's was giggling. But everyone understands it. Girls will change themselves, even want to increase their charm. There must be someone you like and want to change yourself. So Ichino-san, is this love? I am a little concerned about the person Ichino-san likes. It is said that the boys in Class B are also very good, such as Kanzaki-san and the former Shibata-san. On the second day of her birthday, when she went out on a date with Houtarou, she met Ichino's and Kanzaki-san and Shibata-san. But Ichino-san has been changing perfumes for a while, but he still hasn't found the person he likes. Rather, Ichino-san is such a good girlfriend, but that boy really doesn't understand girls' hearts. Ding. The elevator went down to the first floor. Arriving at the dormitory area of Long Yuen class. The free and easy Ibuki Mio with short hair got on the elevator. Kuruzawa. Ichino's. Kushida. No one took the initiative to greet her. To Ichino's, Ibuki is a spy who deceived their class in the past, but to everyone in Class D, Ibuki is someone they don't know, so no communication is normal. Horikita Suzune, but Ibuki saw Horikita-san standing alone in the corner looking at a vocabulary book. Horikita Suzune ignored her. Isn't this super embarrassing? Most of the girls on the elevator thought so. But Ibuki stopped talking and folded her hands aside. The topic continues. Citrus-scented perfume, I don't know if this one is too strong. Bolyagia broke the silence. She also smells like perfume. And Sakura has it too. Sakura's is lemon. Hospi, you care about this too. Just reading magazines and stuff now and then. This is my first time using it, so I don't know how other people feel. Actually, all you need to do is keep your face clean. Xiao Hui also joined the conversation. Not everyone can be like you, Kuruzawa. Ding dong. The elevator continues to go down. We arrived at the boys' dormitory area. Oreki-san was waiting at the elevator entrance. After the elevator opened, I found that they were all girls I knew. What are you discussing? Oreki-san then got on the elevator. Although the boys' floor is not very high, he still chooses not to walk if he can. But he soon discovered that everyone was silent. Morning at this time, Horikita Suzune put away her vocabulary book and greeted him. Morning. Oreki responded to her. Then. The elevator, which had been bustling before, suddenly became silent. The girls also glanced at him from time to time, as if they wanted to say something but couldn't because of his presence. Although Oreki Houtarou is famous, he is probably very unpopular. After all, he loves money so much. Then the notoriety will be known to everyone. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 452. Super straight girl. Ibuki Mio thought to herself. Chapter 193. Sakayanagi, you actually started plotting against me from that moment on. First of all, congratulations to you for getting a class evaluation score of 190 points in the last special examination. In the class meeting of Class A, Teacher Majima is speaking. But this time the speech was congratulations. In the Command Tower exam, Class A faced off against Class D, and achieved a score of 5 wins and 2 losses, and at the same time received a 100-point class evaluation score awarded by the school. Not only that. As the commander, Arisu Sakayanagi defended the protection obtained in the last additional exam. At the same time, since becoming a commander tower carries the risk of dropping out of school, all commander towers received an additional 500,000 private points. In this way, Mr. Majima also gave Sakayanagi Yuzu an anonymous point card. The amount inside is 500,000. Certainly. Regarding the current super high class evaluation score of 2,818.5, Class A can get 280,000 yuan in living expenses every month, so this is only 500,000 yuan, and no one will waver. And today, we have a special schedule. There will be only one class in the afternoon, and there will be a regular meeting of the student union at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, with all students in the school participating, teacher Mashima informed. In this way, the class meeting for the day is over. Oreki-san, on the other hand, remained in a thinking state. According to Mr. Majima's notice, the regular meeting of the student council will be held at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The regular meeting here is probably the resignation ceremony of the student council president of Horikita University. Well, when I met President Horikita before, he asked him if he was ready. That is to say, need to continue. It is necessary to decide on the next student council president. This is a school where strength is paramount, and the student council president has considerable authority, which can even interfere with every special examination held by the school. As a student in Class A, if you want to maintain your position in Class A, you must have your classmates in the student union. The safe solution is for one of his classmates to occupy the position of student council president. Sakayanagi-san. Oreki-san had been thinking about it all day, so he invited the girl next to him. I hope you can have lunch with me. Oh. In other words, is this an invitation to date? Lunch break time. Canteen. Maesumi Kamuro was sitting on a chair, which was a rather unusual thing. Since Oreki Houtarou and Sakayanagi Yuzu ate together, she didn't need to bring food. Not only that. With the sound of boom, Oreki-san even finished serving her rice. This is an unprecedented performance. As expected, both Oreki and Sakayanagi have undergone some changes since the day when the command tower exam ended. For example, Oreki Houtarou seems to be more humane. What's your new way of bullying me? However, Kamuro-san felt that he still had to be more vigilant. She was thinking about whether she had neglected Oreki in the past 2 days. Kamuro-san is thinking about something strange. However, Oreki-san replied to her, I have always been taken care of by you, so I want to give back occasionally. And today's meal is mine, Oreki said. Oh. This sounds nice to say. But Kamuro thought that he would just listen to it for now. Because although Oreki-san replied to her, he quickly focused his attention on Sakayanagi. She has straight silver hair and is petite, but her skin is white and clear, and she looks fragile. This is Sakayanagi Arisu. Although Kamuro has always felt that Sakayanagi is a mean-spirited person, it is undeniable that Sakayanaga's appearance is still quite cute. Boys can hardly refuse such a sickly girl. However, since Sakayanagi had been eating with Oreki Houtarou not long after she entered school, no one dared to have any thoughts about her. What about Sakayanaga's own thoughts? Actually, you don't need to take such care of me, Sakayanagi said. Because Oreki-san carefully prepared the soup for her. I still have Kamuro-san at my disposal, Sakayanagi said. Okay. Kamuro's inner affection for Sakayanagi -1. Kamuro-san is also a human being, and she needs to relax occasionally, Oreki-san said. Okay. Kamuro-san has a favorable impression of Oreki @ 1. So, Sakayanagi said, so, it's a bit flattering that Oreki-san is so proactive today. But I don't want you to change like this just by doing something like that, Sakayanagi said. Because that puts the cart before the horse. Oh. So what are you talking about? What did you do that day? Although he felt that he might be embarrassed to hear this, Kamuro didn't want to leave his position. It's not that reason, Oreki said, but there is one thing that I hope you can take over, Sakayanagi-san. Rather, it has been decided first and later. This position belongs to you. Behead first and show later. About the resignation of the student council president this afternoon, Oreki said. Actually, my philosophy has never changed. I hope Sakayanagi-san can shoulder the burden of Class A. And I think Sakayanagi-kun himself knows very well that if Class A wants to maintain its position as a top class, it needs at least an impartial student council president. Obviously, President Horikita can do it, but others, such as Nagamo Senpai, can't do it at all. Once the position of student council president falls into the hands of Kiriyama or Nagamo senpai, they will definitely act based on their own selfish motives. As for Ichino-san, although she has flaws in the past, her character is still trustworthy and she can be fair. However, the students in the class behind her will definitely sway her. So, I thought about it for a day, and the final decision was that the position of student president must be in our hands. As for our class, the only qualified candidates are you and me, Oreki said. And my suggestion is that you do it. Sakayanagi Arisu. Profound. Regarding the discussion of the student council president, Sakayanagi and Oreki had also discussed it in the past. Then it was also clear that Oreki-san's reason for resisting the candidacy was, there was a lot of work to be done to become the student council president. Almost all of them require using your brain. And he refused to do this. However, the reality is also very clear. If you want to maintain the position of class A as the upper class, then you really need the position of student council president. Although it is also possible to obtain an absolutely impartial student council president. As long as the other party is not biased, class A is qualified and capable to defend its position. But once you have truly reached that position, who can maintain your true intentions like President Horikita? Very difficult. That's why Horikita is called the best student council president in history. And now, President Horikita is about to step down, so this topic that has been discussed by them not long after entering school will be picked up again. Result. Oreki-san is still the same. Say no to trouble. Then. The solution is, to throw it to her? This is not an excellent answer, Oreki-san. This statement has been discussed in the past. But Oreki-san, why does it have to be me? Sakayanagi Yuzu likes Oreki-san very much. But that doesn't mean she's willing to take on such a troublesome job. In particular, Oreki-san considers this job to be troublesome and hard work. And she herself has seen that the student council president doesn't even have weekends. And she now understands, Oreki-san is pushing a toolman to the position of student council president. Obviously the toolbox Horikita Suzun is enough. Oh no, Horikita-san has grown up now, but she still hasn't grown up enough to be the student council president. And since she was only a student in Class D, once she stood in front, she would be judged as having cheated. So why choose her, Yuzu Sakayanagi? She obviously likes Oreki-san so much, so is Oreki-san willing to watch her work hard? So, why didn't Oreki-san do it himself? Sakayanagi-san began to question his own weight in the other person's heart. It can only be you, Sakayanagi-san, Houtarou, Oreki said. Because I don't have the excellent record of leading the class. Excellent, what's the record? Doesn't he have a good record? There is nothing outstanding about him. From reselling information after enrolling in school, falsely opening a store to collect points from Class C and Class B, and selling part-time work rights, even his father has expectations for him. Afterwards, Oreki-san also scored half of the points of all the students in his grade in the preferential candidate test, and directly obtained all the points of Class A of the 3rd grade in the joint forest camp test with the senior students. Aren't these all achievements? The most powerful thing is the points on his student ID card. The school never thought that there would be a student who could collect 20 million points alone. Then he never considered that some students' points could exceed 100 million. So until now, his points have reached more than 100 million, but the school still uses 10,000 as the unit. And aren't these all superb performances? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 453. Wait a moment. Sakayanagi suddenly thought of something. That was when the class voted to drop out of the additional exam. Oreki-san stood up proactively and suggested that Tatsuka-san drop out, and then hoped that she would get a vote of appreciation. I hope she can get 20 million worth of exemption from the penalty of dropping out of school protection. This is actually quite rare. Because he can't be that proactive. And there is a price. I hope she can complete the additional exam after the additional exam, that is, the command tower exam that just passed. Get an exemption from the penalty of dropping out of school worth 20 million, and then the price is just to take the class to take an exam. It looks very cost-effective. And Oreki-san has a lot of points, which is enough for him to avoid the punishment of dropping out of school many times. But Sakayanagi didn't think that much at that time. But now, suddenly I found that everything was connected. Because get protection. Then she also led her class to victory in the command tower exam. Maintaining the dignity of class while preserving the reward of protection. And this kind of thing, although it is a fact, it is like a record. In other words, although she is not a member of the student union now, let alone the so-called vice president of the student union, her test scores in this period can already become her record. Then submit this record as a resume to the Horikita Student Council President, and you may be nominated. Because this is for everyone to see. As for Oreki-san's plan to obtain points, he used various opportunistic tricks and could not convince everyone. So, on the contrary, she will now be justified here. It is indeed, the most suitable and most likely candidate in Class A to compete for the Student Council President. Sakayanagi. Sakayanagi. I didn't expect it at all, Yuzu Sakayanagi said. I have actually been plotted by you since then. It seems that you have completely understood it, Oreki-san said, then you also understand that now you are the only one who best fits this identity. Sakayanagi. Now Sakayanagi Arisu really wants to take a 6 alone. At the same time, I feel very pessimistic, she said. I thought that when you saw me, you would think about your future children, but instead you thought about how to make me work. I'm in pain, she said. That's not necessarily true, Oreki-san said. If it's a child, I still know the name. For example, what do you think of Alice? Oh. However, even though he was very angry just now, Sakayanagi-san calmed down at this time. Alice. It sounds the same as my name. Then I can take it that this is your confession, Oreki-san, Sakayanagi said. By the way, when did you decide on the name? It was a few months ago. As for Alice, she will have the same fair skin as you, Oreki-san said. But as for the hair color, you can only follow me. It turns out it was a few months ago. Sakayanaga's mood seemed to have improved a lot. The divine room. Only then did Kamuro-san realize that he should have left just now. Because just now, these two people seemed to be engaged in an invisible war. As a result, it ended up like this again during lunch, when he stuffed dog food for her as if no one else was around. It's really too much. Because Sakayanagi-san has already understood that she has fallen into the trap he set a long time ago. So after lunch, the two did not go to class immediately. Instead, he headed to the library. The student council president will resign at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and Oreki has already sent the nomination to Horikita NII. Although Oreki-san can take advantage of Sakayanagi-san's liking for him and make her work. However, he is not that extreme. Therefore, he would still come up with something that would make her think that being a student council president would be interesting. For example, this. Oreki-san took out a small notebook, wrote some words, and handed it to her. This is. Sakayanagi Yuzu focused his attention on what Oreki-san wrote. Is the current student union list. They are Student Council President Horikita Manabu, Vice President Kiriyama, and Student Council Secretary Tachibana Akane. Then there is a list of second-year students, and then there is Katsuragi-san who is another secretary, and the student union accountant Kito Hayabusa, who she recommended before and has also been qualified to enter the student union. If you just work, you will be uninterested, Oreki-san said. But if that's the case, are you interested? Oreki-san used a pen to delete the names of President Horikita, Secretary Tachibana Akane, and Kiriyama. Only Katsuragi-san and Kito-san were left in the class. Is this nepotism? More than. This is to directly expel all student council members from other grades. Chapter 194 The True Meaning of the Student Council President, a bunch of clues. Oreki-san's proposal is crazy. Expelled all student council members from other grades. Expelled all the second-year seniors from Nagayunya and the others. And this means making the student council president the voice of his grade. Highly centralized. You are really brave, Yuzo Sakayanagi commented. But it's interesting, isn't it? Oreki-san said. I think you'll be in high spirits. Are you excited? When Sakayanagi entered this school, he initially hoped that it would be interesting and not boring. Then, he quickly discovered that Oreki-san, whom he had longed for, was also here. So life becomes interesting. But don't deny it, Sakayanagi Yuzu just looks weak, but her attack power has never been low. In terms of career. And if she became the student council president, she suddenly discovered that it seemed to be a plan that could also have strong offensive power in love. Because if you can become the student council president, you can arrange student council members at will. Therefore, the proposal I mentioned before, except for the student council list where Oreki-san is not included, may be implemented. So, it was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. This is a special day. Farewell party for senior student council members. For third-grade students, they have been in school for less than 2 months. Even just 1 month and 10 days. And for the student union, which is completely different from other schools and has gained great autonomy and power. There is one more crucial thing. That was the farewell party of the senior student council. The student union of Yuchin High School also adopts the tradition of letting the student council president name the student council members, so the resignation of a student council president also means the resignation of the entire team. Then they do the second, more important thing. That is to elect a new student council president. The new student council president will form his own team. He can either keep his seniors in the student council to help, or he can expel them all and then appoint their own candidates. As a rule, the candidates selected by the previous student council president are retained. After all, being able to join the student union means that you have been recognized by the previous student president. And Horikita Academy has a very beautiful sign. And now, all the students went to the gymnasium and lined up according to their classes. This is the last speech I will give as student president. Ever since I became the student council president, I have been very cautious. Everyone understands that our school is a school where strength comes first, and the student council president is the pinnacle of students. The authority of the student council president is very large. So it is very important whether you can be impartial as the student council president. The student council president Horikita Manabu put his hands on the summit, giving the last speech of the student council president. On behalf of all members of the student council, I would like to express my gratitude to all students. Everyone can support our work. At the same time, before resigning, I will also name the person I recognize as the next student president. With the exception of the juniors, the sophomores and freshmen are not very aware of the selection process at this school. 2 conditions need to be met. 1 nomination by the former student president. 2 all students will vote in 3 days. Each student has 1 vote. At that time, the candidate with the most votes will be elected, Horikita Manabu said. As for the successor, I recommend Vice President Kiriyama from Class B of the 2nd grade, Horikita Manabu said. He has talents as the Vice President of the Student Union. As expected, Horikita introduced second-year Kiriyama. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 454. Initially, Horikita Manabu regarded Kiriyama as a card to deal with Nagamo. Kiriyama was a student in Class A when he entered the first grade, but was defeated by Nagamo Masa, so their class fell to Class B. After that, Nagamo took control of the entire grade, and their class ranking has never been higher. It can be said that if he can succeed as the student council president this time, then their class will still have a chance to break free from Nagamo's control. But it is a pity that Kiriyama has no fighting power in front of Nagamo, who has completely mastered the second grade. And it's the same now. Nanyunya always prepares for a rainy day. Kiriyama, think about it for yourself. If we reach an agreement to cooperate, the second graders will be your solid backing. The former vice president of the student union and the former accountant of the student union, Nagamoya, gently patted the current vice president Kiriyama on the shoulder. Nagamo has been expelled from the student union for a long time, and it is also clear that Horikita Academy will not give him a chance. So during the exam in the forest, he thought that since Horikita didn't give him a chance, he would grab it himself. It just failed. But that's okay. As expected, Horikita Manabu finally gave Kiriyama a chance. As long as Kiriyama is elected, Horikita will graduate by then. Then he asked Kiriyama to nominate him to join the student union and become the vice president. Then he gave Kiriyama 20 million points, asked Kiriyama student council president to resign, and re-elected a new student council president. When the time comes, he is the only candidate. How can he not win the bid? Yes. Nanyun has Tongshan's black information in his hands, and he controls Tongshan from this point. But what can really shake and guarantee Kiriyama's loyalty is money. 20 million points can be used to go to the class you want. Then when you graduate from the third grade, you can use this 20 million to be directly promoted to Class A. Then you can have a better future. No one can deny this. And even if you don't promote to Class A, but directly convert the points into cash, it is also a very considerable wealth. And Naeun now, of course, does not have this point. But after all, he is still the de facto representative of the second grade. He can squeeze points from 4 classes every month, and he also has a milk tea shop. The cost of the milk tea shop has almost been paid off, and next month it will be pure profit sharing. So you can still accumulate this points. But overall, this strategy is too expensive. Wouldn't it be nice to have 20 million for yourself? So Nagamo actually has another bet. And this bet is. Horikita Manabu held the microphone and continued. I am a person who values individual talents. So apart from Kiriyama, I think we can make an exception and give a chance to the first-year freshman, Yuzusaka Yanagi from Class A, first-year student. The current class evaluation score of Class A in the first grade is 2,818.5 points. I also got this score at the end of my second year. But this is a rare score for this school. It may be lucky to pass the school's test in one exam, but I have steadily obtained such scores over the course of a year. What I saw was strength. Nanyun Masa, the vice president of the student union who has a record of success in the past, led Class B to be promoted to Class A. I recognize his strength. At the end of his first year, I invited him to join the student union and gave him the position of vice president. And now, this year's freshman class is just as good. I decided to invite Yuzusaka Yanagi to join the student council president and become the vice president of the student council. Chairman Horikita made some remarks. What these scenes put together is that in addition to Kiriyama, he also specially introduced a new vice president of the student union. Invited Sakayanagi Yuzo to join the student union and directly gave him the position of vice president. But using Nagamo as rhetoric is going too far. Nanyun felt the eyes from all directions. Yes. Horikita Manabu is seeking to be the vice president of the student union, but Nagamo can't even get to the summit. Nanyunya was standing at the head of class A of the second grade, and she was actually in a bad mood. Because he did succeed in leading first-year Class B to Class A at the end of the first grade, and was then dragged to the student council by Horikita Manabu and given the position of vice president. And now, not even a member of the student council. The surrounding eyes are so dazzling. I recommend Sakayanagi from Class A of the first grade to participate in the election of student council president, Horikita Manabu announced. The students in Class A, especially the Sakayanagi faction, became a little excited. Especially those who were once part of the Katsuragi faction and then defected to join the Itanyanaga faction, felt that they had chosen the right person. Although Katsuragi-san joined the student council, he was not recommended. President Horikita's recommendation means that Sakayanagi can become the student council president. Then as the student council president's class, their status as class A will become solid and unmovable. After all, how can the student council president set an unruly test for his class? Yes. The student council president does not have the right to participate in the assessment of students, but he has the privilege to change the points awarded for the assessed class scores. For example, if Class A is caught up and wants to catch up, then the school originally planned a new exam class score reward of 500 points, but she can compress it into 100 points for the benefit of the class. Do you think it's unfair? But currently, the only one who can be impartial is Manabu Horikita. The other student council presidents were also recognized, indicating that the school acquiesced to this move. After all, if you feel it's unfair, then you should also become the student council president. And here is Nagamo who wants to be the student council president. Nanyun. The fact that Horikita Academy brought Sakayanagi into the student council at this point in time shows that there is a high chance that Horikita Academy wants Sakayanagi to become the president. Although Kiriyama's side doesn't necessarily lose. Nagamo helped Class A during the top exam, and also arranged for Ichinos to attack Oreki, which destroyed the relationship between Sakayanagi and Oreki. So if Sakayanagi wins the student union election, he should have a place in the student union. On Kiriyama's side, they also tried to comfort and intimidate him. If Kiriyama wins, he cannot be ignored. So both sides have made arrangements. And obviously Sakayanagi wants to save some points. And Horikita Manabu's recommendation was also part of Nagamo's prediction. But depend on. Nanyun still felt angry. Because if Houtarou Oreki didn't exist, would he need to do such a shameful thing? Also hedging his bets. This is a very low-level wallflower with no real character at all. But very angry. Because he actually bet on 3 parties. In other words, apart from Kiriyama and Sakayanagi, Oreki Houtarou, who is a monster in withdrawing money, is actually more recognized by the school. And Horikita Senpai would also recommend Oreki. Betting on Kiriyama requires a sacrifice of 20 million points while betting on Sakayanagi is cheaper, and betting on Houtarou Oreki will cost you Ichino Senpai. So whoever wins among the 3 will lose nothing to him. But actually, as usual, there is a third person chosen. Horikita Manabu was still holding the microphone, but when he said this, he paused and then looked in the direction of the first grade. First grade orientation. Some time ago, a rumor spread. Horikita's younger sister, Horikita Suzune, also attends this school and is assigned to Class D, first grade. Could it be said that brother Horikita wants to recommend his sister for selfish reasons? The students in Class D were a little excited when they noticed this look. Because if Horikita Suzune is elected president, will they also want chickens and dogs to ascend to heaven? No more worries about staying in school? Ringtone seemed at a loss. It would be better to say that she has no such extravagant hope at all. Congratulations, Horikita-san. Kushida stood behind Suzune, and she gently poked Horekita's waist. Although with a smile, even a joke. But hurry. Kusita probably felt this way. She had always been dissatisfied with Horikita, not only because he knew her dark history, but more importantly, she had always been jealous of Horikita's classmates, who were like black cats, independent in the rain, without even holding an umbrella. Always stay true to yourself. It's not like her, who needs all kinds of attention to the atmosphere. It's Houtarou Oreki, who also belongs to class A of the first grade. Horikita Manabu finally continued after he paused, and at the same time he put his finger on the microphone and moved it. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 455. Zi. Instantly the noise echoed through the entire stadium. Let everyone's attention be passively focused. And he continued, I have thought about it for a long time and decided to nominate you. I personally recognize your ability. However, during the lunch break, I called you and you didn't answer my call, so I will acquiesce to you abandon the candidacy for Student Council President. So, there are only two people running for Student Council President this time. Kiriyama and Sakayanagi. Each student has one vote. After the assembly is over, you can go to your class teacher to get the vote. The voting point is set up at the entrance of the cafeteria and in the ballot box on the first floor of the special classroom. The voting results will be announced 3 days later. After saying that, he left the summit directly and walked towards the outside of the stadium. Then the students reacted. But believe me, I'll give you a hammer. Oreki-san glanced at his phone. He was the only one who sent a message with Sakayanagi Arisu's name to Horikita's brother, but the other party never called him back or sent back the message. So I deliberately nominated him and then cancelled it, probably because of Horikita Manabu's deliberate mood. I just didn't know that Horikita-san wanted to retaliate when he enrolled, so he specially invited Oreki-san to join the student union, but he sold the position of student union secretary to Katsuragi without any appreciation. Or rather, it was to retaliate against Oreki-san for tricking him into taking away his money. Because there were too many clues, Oreki-san couldn't confirm Horikita's true thoughts for a while. However, Horikita Manabu finally completed the deal and recommended Sakayanagi-san as planned. Then the next step is to elect the student president. Canvassing votes. Then. Everyone has not yet fully woken up from the resignation of the student council president and the election of the new student council president. The 4 class representatives of the first-year students each received votes from the third candidate, Oreki-san, who was abandoned by the student council president Horikita Manabu. Chapter 195. You can also take advantage of school rules. Yu Cheng, you are tricking me into spending money. There are no classes for everyone in the afternoon. After attending the resignation ceremony of the student council president in the gymnasium, everyone can move around freely. However, the representatives of the 4 first-year classes received the message from Oreki-san. I hope they can go to the private room at the tea restaurant on the 2nd floor of the Kiyaki shopping center in the shopping street. Discuss important matters. Everyone has already gone through this experience. So, when they actually arrived, the moods of several class representatives were still a little subtle. The first-year class A is Katsuragi-san and Hashimoto-san. The first-year class B is Ichino-san and Kanzaki Ryaji-san. As for first-year class C, there are Ryuan-san and Shiina Hiyori-san. First-year class D is still Horikita Suzune, as well as Hirata Yasuke and Takahiraji Rokusuke. It can be said that except for Hiyori-san, who is a newcomer, the others are all acquaintances. We all met him during the last ship's preferential treatment examination. Kusita-san from Class D, who took the preferential candidate exam before, hasn't arrived yet either. Everyone is waiting. As everyone knows, Gao Yuanji was minding his own business and looking at his face with a small mirror. Look your most beautiful at all times. But there are also people who don't have such a good character as him. So, we have been waiting for a while. Hasn't Houtarou Oreki come yet? Katsuji-san. After arriving, Ryuan-san stood by the window for a while, then returned to his seat and sat down. Then he looked at the tall man who had been sitting quietly with his eyes closed since he arrived. Katsuragi Yasuhei. It would be better to say that not only Oreki, but also Sakayanagi Yuzu didn't arrive. Katsuji-san, it seems that your status in class A has plummeted, Ryuan said. Katsuragi. I don't know the specifics. The message I received from Oreki-san is that he arrived here, Katsuragi said calmly, neither humble nor arrogant. He. Ryuan seemed to smile after hearing Katsuragi-san's reply. You already sound like Oreki-san's subordinate when you say this, Ryuan said. Don't you feel uncomfortable being someone else? Don't think about splitting our class, Katsuragi replied calmly. In fact, Katsuragi was not in a very good mood. Because during the just concluded command tower exam, Terahiko Yukimura of Class D had a private meeting with him alone, hoping that he would let him go to Class D. The reason was that he felt that Yahiko dropped out of school, and as Yahiko's superior, he would be dissatisfied with Oreki and Sakayanagi. And now Long Yuan also behaves like this. Result. Does everyone think he will betray Class A? As a student of Class A, he is proud of Class A. And Class A is prospering now, why do they do such stupid things? As for Oreki-san, he invited representatives from each first-year class to come out, and he probably understood what he was doing. To canvass votes. Yes. Canvassing votes. In President Horikita's nomination today, only Sakayanagi and Kiriyama from second-year Class B were qualified as candidates. But getting a nomination is a ticket, and the real decision of who will be the student council president depends on the number of votes cast. As a member of the student union, Katsuragi knew better and understood that the current vice president Kiriyama was actually from Nagamo's side. Chairman Horikita mentioned that he once hoped that Kiriyama could show his strength. But unfortunately, Kiriyama was completely unable to compete with Nagamo. And Nagamo-senpai is the kind of person who advocates absolute strength first. In other words, Nagamo's idea is to impact the current class confrontation system, and this kind of thing is not a good thing for the stable Class A. Because Class A now has vested interests, so what rules need to be changed? This will be a loss. Therefore, due to emotions and reasons, Katsuragi himself was willing to promote Sakayanagi to power. Sakayanagi is a student of Class A and represents the interests of Class A. This is like reassurance. And if you want to do this, what you need to get is the number of votes. The school has a total of 157 students in the first grade, 120 students in the second grade, and 135 students in the third grade. You have to get at least half of the votes. Compared to my matters, Katsuragi said, Ryuan, although I don't know what happened to you during the vacation, but now that you have come back, you have lost miserably. Losing miserably. This refers to the command tower exam, where Class C lost to Class B 2-5. So, Ryuan came back, but he didn't show his strength. He. Ryuan smiled. Class C is not an excellent class to begin with. Rather, if Class B is defeated by Class C, then it will be really bad. Right, Ichi knows. Kanzaki. Ryuan then turned to the representative of Class B to speak. Kanzaki. Kanzaki actually hates Ryuan, because from the time he met until now, Ryuan has done nothing good. And even in the command tower exam that just ended, Ryuan arranged for students from Class C to follow their classmates from Class B. It was disgusting enough. Even the good-tempered Shibata couldn't accept it and became angry. But Kanzaki also feels lucky. Because Class B still wins in the final exam. Looking back now, Shibata was angry at Ishizaki from Class C Oreki-san whom he met at that time, Oreki-san congratulated them on their victory in advance. At that time, Kanzaki failed to understand the other party's words. But now, after the exam, I suddenly discovered that what the other party was talking about might be Long Yuan's plan. On the one hand, letting the students of Class C follow them can disturb their hearts, on the other hand, it may be a mystery. Let them guard against students in Class C, and then they will lose attention to their classmates. In other words, Ryuan is still disgusting and wants to use conspiracy. However, during the additional exit exam, Kanzaki came on stage and said that every student in the class was worth 20 million, and there was no spy this time. This is really a good thing for Class B. But Oreki-san is already 10 minutes late. Does Horikita-san know anything? And Ichi-nose asked a person who fell into his own thoughts after arriving. Horikita Suzune. The first-year Class D students performed well in the last class exit exam and the command tower exam. Anyone who has spies in Class D knows that although Class D is still scattered, it has already condensed a lot. And Katsuragi paid attention. The mood is also very subtle, because everyone knows that it is difficult for students in Class D to climb up, and Takahiraji, for example, is outspoken about contacting upperclassmen and collecting points from them. And this is probably because he wants to collect 20 million points to fly solo. There is only one class A class in the school every year, so both Takahiraji and Horikita Suzune may end up being classmates in Class A. Horikita-san's speed may be a little faster. After all, President Horikita is about to graduate, and if the president still has points, he may choose to exchange them for cash with the school, or give them to his sister. However, the current black-haired beauty is still lost in her own thoughts. Horikita-san was indeed deep in thought. To be precise, I haven't woken up from the end of the student council president's speech in the gymnasium. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 456. My brother had looked towards the first graders before, although the classmates were wondering if she was nominated because she was the sister of the student council president. After enrolling in school, she also worked hard to prove herself to her brother. Thanks to Oreki-san's help, she achieved success. At least I can survive in this school. The only drawback is that there is no way to save enough 20 million to go to Class A before my brother graduates. And just now, the brother seemed to be looking in her direction. In an instant, she had the same idea as her classmates. That means her brother is going to name her as a candidate for student council president? But she quickly denied it. Because she is not good enough, and based on her understanding of her brother, he is not the kind of person who will show favoritism. And she definitely knows that her abilities are still insufficient. So Suzune's second reaction was that the person her brother was looking at in the first grade was probably looking in the direction of Oreki-san. After all, it was Oreki Houtarou who had been dealing with his brother since he entered school. Then, my brother confirmed that the person he wanted to name was indeed Oreki-san. So, what is this feeling? He clearly knew that his brother was nominating Houtarou Oreki. But, this mood. Could it be that it was something called jealousy that Kushida had shown to her? No. Maybe not quite. Because she has no pain. There is a sense of relief. And what she couldn't understand was that there was even a feeling that Oreki-san was finally brought to the table with Yurong Yan. This is his brother's recognition of his performance. But, Oreki Houtarou, I thought about it for a long time and decided to nominate you, but if you don't answer my call, then I will assume that you have given up your candidacy for student council president. Oreki Houtarou, are you an idiot? Why don't you answer the phone? Suzune felt that he had missed a big opportunity. Obviously. Horikita-san, who was trapped in his own thoughts, did not know where Oreki-san was. The reason why Oreki-san is late is simple. He was now stopped by a man. After coming out of the gym, he went to the chairman's office. I hope to meet Chairman Sakayanagi. To be precise, I want to use the only authority I have as a student of this school, to exchange the school points into cash in advance. Everything in the school can be purchased with points. The school's initial proposal was probably in the hope that students would compete and grow by participating in the school's exams. And the accompanying reward is points. It is a positive reward. However, Oreki-san used these points to purchase the school's authority to purchase points, which is only granted to third-year graduates. If you are referring to the rules, this permission can be purchased. However, considering the impact that Oreki-san would have on the students if he had the authority to exchange points for cash, the chairman ultimately only reserved this authority for Oreki-san to use himself. So now he is just using his authority normally. Convert points into cash in advance. But when he came out of the chairman's office, he was intercepted by a person. The other person was wearing a dark blue suit, was tall, and had a habitual smile on his face. But the body may not be in good shape. The left wrist is in a cast from the wrist to the elbow. And this man, Oreki-san, had a relationship with him. It's Principal Yu Chang. More than a month has passed since Yu Chang had to get into an ambulance and leave the school. Now, Mr. Tsukijo has probably undergone surgery and returned. But judging from the complexion on his face, he has not fully recovered. This is really a coincidental encounter, Yu Chang said. Oreki-san from first year class A. Is Principal Tsukijo's body okay? Oreki asked. I used to practice martial arts every day. My previous injuries were very difficult, but I would recover faster than the average person, Yu Chang said. But instead of focusing on my body, I think you need to worry about yourself, Oreki-kun. Because. Yu Chang's tone paused. You suddenly exchanged so much cash, do you want to use it to bribe people? I'm just using the power I bought with points, Oreki said calmly. It's better to say that Mr. Tsukijo should make use of the school's rules. Ueshin. Let him use the school's rules. Incubation High School is an institution similar to White House, but it is far less cruel and harsh than White House. The yield rate is also insufficient. But it also has its own set of points-first system. Oreki's attitude is undoubtedly to continue to side with Ayanokaji Kiyotaka. Now the students have to elect the student council president. The student council of Yuchin High School has great authority. Sometimes the student council president can even interfere with school staff and so on. Although Tsukiro has obtained the position of principal, if the student union protects Ayanokaji, then he will also be constrained. So he rushed back to intercept the position of student council president. At least not against yourself. Then after learning about Oreki Houtarou, he went to the chairman's office to exchange points. He immediately thought that Oreki Houtarou might want to spend money to buy tickets. Yu Chang then came to intercept. As expected, Houtarou Oreki wanted to use money to canvass votes in a dirty way. Instead of using points, you use hard currency that can be used as long as you leave school. This is a very attractive solution. And Oreki Houtarou can do this kind of thing, of course he can do it too. But. He was just ordered to make Ayanokaji drop out of school, and Mr. Ayanokaji did not give him that much financial support for the task. So if you want to use more money, do you have to invest your own money? This is a nuisance. But Ueshin also has some savings. Then you can still have a ring battle with the opponent. So. Check Oreki Houtarou's student ID card. Tsukijo sent a message to the staff who followed him. This is the staff that Chairman Banliu recruited after his previous business trip. Mr. Yu Chang, the inquiry is completed. The other party's current student ID private account balance is 120,002,400 points. This balance does not match the last point count. It seems that the points were redeemed 5 minutes ago. Okay. Never mind. So Mr. Tsukijo remained quiet. He didn't have 100 million to invest. Chapter 196 The Sky is a Free Prostitute. Oreki-san went to the tea restaurant in Kiyaki Shopping Mall. Since the room was already reserved, after confirmation from the waiter, Oreki-san arrived at the private room smoothly carrying a box. Noticing that he was carrying something, Hashimoto-san quickly came over to help. Oreki handed him the box, and Hashimoto placed the box on the table. At this time, it was already more than 20 minutes before the originally scheduled time. It's a little late, Oreki-san said. There was a small problem, but it has been resolved. Only. Oreki-san looked around. Kushida-san and the third-year seniors haven't arrived yet. Third grader? Only then did Kanzaki-san and the others notice that this time, Horikita Suzune, Hirata Yasuke, and Kogendararo Kusuke came to the first-year Class D this time. In the previous preferential candidate test on the ship, another representative of Class D was Kushida Kikyo. As a result, Class D also arranged for Kushida-san to be the representative this time. And just as he said this, he heard a voice coming from outside. Sorry, is this store reserved by Oreki-san, a first-year class A student? Right. We have an appointment. Thanks. Kushida-san's voice came, and then everyone saw Kushida walking in with 3 people. 2 girls and 1 boy. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 457. For example, Katsuragi-san can recognize that the 3 seniors brought by Kushida are students from 3rd year Class C and 3rd year Class D. Why are there so many people? Besides, are the votes really for sale this time? The seniors brought by Kushida probably didn't expect to be surrounded by a dozen first-year students as soon as they entered the private room, so they were a little nervous. But after all, they are students in Class C and Class D, and they are also living a hard life now, so they cannot hide their words. Yes. They were tricked here by Kushida-san, arranged by Oreki-san. The excuse is that some people want to spend money to buy their votes. And it is done directly in cash. Everyone uses the points on their student ID cards for consumption. The shopping street also introduced anonymous point cards. These are all convenient for students to make profits through various channels. However, if you get cash directly, it is not only more convenient, but also safer. Because if you collect points, the school will also observe the source and destination. But if you put cash directly in your belongings or pocket, it is extremely practical. A long time ago, Oreki-san deliberately arranged for Kushida-san to make friends with the seniors in Class D of the 3rd grade. After 1 year of campus life, Kushida's social circle has also expanded, so he can also talk to the seniors in Class C of the 3rd grade. And now, Kushida has also been entrusted with using the 3rd year seniors. There is only a little more than a month until the 3rd graders graduate, so this period of maintained communication will become useless as the seniors leave the school. But they can also use their final value, voting. Then have the seniors brought the tickets, Oreki said. A senior sister. You mean to choose first year Sake Inaga's green ball. The electoral vote is 2 balls. 1 red and 1 green. The red color represents Kiriyama from Class B, 2nd grade. The green one represents Sakayanagi from Class A, 1st grade. And the reason why the seniors came so late was because they had to go to the class teacher to get the votes. I was told that the red ball is for 2nd year Kiriyama, and the green ball is for 1st year Sakayanagi. Another senior took the 2 balls out of her pocket. The sphere is about the same size as a billiard ball and is hollow inside, so it is very light to hold. Then that's right, Oreki-san said. I don't cover up either, it's a waste of time. Sakayanagi-san is a student in my class, so I am canvassing votes for her as her representative. And seniors, we will not let you vote in vain. And now dash. Oreki-san looked at Hashimoto-san. Hashimoto probably didn't react. Open the box, Oreki-san said. Okay. Hashimoto suddenly reacted. Quickly walked to the table where the suitcase was placed. His mind was processing the current situation quickly. Oreki-san gathered everyone here to canvass votes for little Princess Sakayanagi. For the third graders, the price seemed to be directly quoted. Points can be used as consumption in this school. But, Oreki-san was late because he was carrying these two suitcases, so what did he do during this time? Could it be that, the contents of these two suitcases are? Hashimoto's hands rested on the buttons of the suitcase. There was a clicking sound, and the box opened. In an instant, everyone was so focused that they couldn't take their eyes away. Because the box was opened, and a large number of banknotes packed tightly inside almost seemed to pop out. It's actually money. And they are all Yukichi Fukuzawa. It's a 10,000 banknote. I prepared 20 million in cash first, Oreki-san said. And I think everyone is familiar with the value of 20 million. Of course it's familiar. 20 million points can exempt you from the penalty of dropping out of school once, and you can also go directly to the class you want. In other words, this is a ticket to Class A. Before, everyone had only heard of points, but Ryuan, Hiri and the others also had millions of points flowing through their mobile phone student ID cards. But obviously, I have never seen such a large amount of points turn into cash. You are so rich, Oreki-san. This was the sentiment of almost all the students present. And Hiri-san confirmed that if there were 20 million points she would choose cash instead of using 20 million to get the chance to be promoted to Class A. After all, 20 million is such a big box. You are openly canvassing for votes, the senior from Class C of the third grade suddenly said. Aren't you afraid of me recording this kind of thing? Then are you sure you want to record and become the sinner of the entire class? Oreki-san said. You know, this is an opportunity for the graduates of Class C and Class D of the third grade to get free money. These words made the senior's mouth open, and then he was speechless. Because he knew that Oreki-senpai was right. Students in Class C and Class D have a very miserable life and can hardly get any points from the school. The cost of living is also very tight. Every student in Class C or Class D has eaten the mountain and vegetable set meal for a long time. Live a life of blushing to get free daily necessities. At the same time, they are about to graduate. As long as they are not students in Class A, they will be arranged by the school to graduate under the name of another high school. It seems like nothing is gained. Coming to this school is all about hardship. But now if you sell your voting rights, you can get real cash directly. It can be regarded as a little compensation for myself. Then, through their contact, classmates from Class C of Grade 3 and Class D of Grade 3 were called here. After receiving the voting ball from the homeroom teacher, you only need to vote for Itayanagi. After the first year classes students confirm their vote, you can go to Oreki-san and receive 100,000 in cash for each person. This is cash and is not commonly used in schools. But they are all about to graduate, and they can really spend money after graduation. And 100,000 is not a huge amount of money, but it is not a small amount either. The seniors in Class C of Grade 3 and Class D of Grade 3 are still very aware of current affairs. Then, I specially asked you to come here for another reason. Oreki-san called his name, and the handsome man Kojinjiro Kusuke, who had been looking quietly at the mirror, stood up. I'd like to recommend a big guy to you, Oreki-san said. He is Kojinjiro Kusuke, the only son of Kojinji Zaibatsu. For some reasons, he needs to obtain a lot of points. He can buy the remaining points from you at a higher price than the school, Oreki said. And everyone finally understood that they thought Gao Yuanji was here as a representative of Class D. As a result, I came here to fly solo. Because he had gone through school examinations, plus 3 years of various withdrawal penalties. There are not many seniors in Grade 3 Class C and Grade 3 Class D. There are 29 students in Class C of the 3rd grade. There are 31 students in Class D of the 3rd grade. And only a total of 6 million in cash was paid. 40 minutes have passed since they confirmed one by one that they had voted and then settled the cash to them. Oreki-san sat on one side, and Katsuragi-san and Hashimoto-san were responsible for confirming the information and paying with cash. The work is not very difficult. And just now, the last student from Class C, Grade 3, completed the redemption. So do we need to gather the students in our class now? At this time, Hirata-san, a student from Class D, paid attention to the atmosphere and said. He watched quietly for a while and understood. Oreki-san simply asked for money to buy the tickets. And every student has the right to vote. There are also classmates from Class D in the 1st grade. Oreki-san is very generous. One vote can get 100,000 in cash. This kind of news is good news to the students in the class. Hirata has been saved from despair by Ayanokaji-san. So he returned to his usual good-natured character, Hirata. What I consider is the relationship with the classmates in the class, and then there is the protection of Ayanokaji-san. And now it is the election of the student council president, which has nothing to do with Ayanokaji-san, so Hirata is considering the interests of his classmates. You called us over and put us aside for this reason, Long Yuan also said. You also prepared so much cash. The students in my class have no other advantages except being good at fighting and being obedient. Give me the money directly and I will send them a message, Long Yuan said. Let them vote. This is the advantage of Ryuan's class. After being ruled, the students in the class will obey orders. In terms of efficiency, it may be the highest among the 4 ABCD classes. Vote for Sake Anaga-san. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 458. Kanzaki Ryaji, who was watching quietly on the side, also looked at Ichino's. As a student in Class B, he has to vote for a student in Class A to be the student council president. This is not a good thing. But Kanzaki-san's energy was dampened. I don't think my class can get an A. Then it is okay to plan some benefits for the class. At the same time, he was also desperate. Because Ichino-san probably also discovered that Oreki-san has a lot of points and a lot of money, and he can use the money to open roads and buy tickets. I have already bought tickets for the seniors from Class C and Class D of the 3rd grade, so the probability of Sakayanagi from Class A being on stage is very high. This is not something that their Class B rejection can prevent. So now that we know that stopping it is useless, it is better to collect some benefits. The ticket price offered by Oreki to the seniors is 100,000, and the 40 students in Class B have 40 tickets, so they can bring 4 million in wealth. Because of the last additional exam, each of them was poor. So now that I have cash, although I think points are more suitable to use as a price to fight risks, it is also a good thing if it is cash. What are you guys saying? But Oreki-san looked at them strangely. By this time he had already closed the suitcase. After paying 6 million, more than 20 million in cash was exchanged, and there was still a lot left. When did I say that you also use cash to buy tickets? Oreki-san said. Could it be that? Long Yuan frowned. You don't treat first-year students equally. You can give 100,000 yuan per ticket to third-year students, but when you come to us, it will be reduced. This seemed to be a provocative tone. But as he said this, Ryuan looked at Shiina. Because the main reason why he stayed in school was because Shiina kept him. And the reason is, I hope he can come in handy for squeezing the freshmen. Rather, Shiina also works for Oreki Houtarou. The person who really wants to squeeze the new life is Oreki Houtarou, and Shiina is just Oreki's tool. And he also knew that Oreki Houtarou was the same guy as before and had not changed at all. He is also a greedy money-drawing monster. And now, he is actually willing to take out the points. Oh no, just take out the cash. It always feels weird. So, will he really give everyone so much money? In Long Yuan's opinion, he doesn't think so. This guy would be polite not to take points away from them. So, rather, not only is it impossible, Oreki Houtarou may even be a prostitute for nothing. Shiina Hiri from Class C asked directly. Oreki-kun, are you trying to sell your position in the student council? I hope everyone will exchange their votes for positions in the student union, Hiri said. Shiina-san is so smart, Oreki-san said. I specifically invite everyone to come out because I really want your class's right to vote. But I'm not going to use points or cash to buy it. But I will give you the position in the student council as the price for getting the votes, Oreki-san said. You have poison, Long Yuan said immediately. What if our Class B students refuse, Ichino's also said at this time. This is a matter of assessing the situation. If Oreki-san is willing to spend money to buy the tickets that everyone has, everyone will be willing. But if you just sell your position now, it's a waste of money. Because this is a student council position appointment that can only be made by Sakayanagi-san. So what if Banliu doesn't come on stage? So, this is cheating their votes. A bad check was written. This guy is a free prostitute. Chapter 197 Nagamo, liar, Sakayanagi Yuzu is a liar. After sizing up the situation, Ichino-san began to attack. After all, if you don't speak up, the classmates in the class will be prostituted for nothing. Then no one from Class B can join the student council, Oreki said. Students in Class C can join the student union, and students in Class D can also join the student union. Only Class B has no one to join. And I think everyone knows the value of student government members at this school. It's even helpful to maintain a position in your own class. So, Ichinos, are you Class B giving up your status as Class B and letting Class C catch up? Oreki said directly. Ryuan and Hiri from Class C. In fact, Class C has no interest in joining Class A, and its desire to join Class B is not strong either. Rather, the current goal of Class C is to become freshmen. Squeeze from the freshmen. Oreki Houtarou wanted to squeeze it out, but Hiri entrusted Ryuan with the work, and Ryuan got the remaining value of the package after the first grade. So the current goal of Class C is to make money, not to climb up the corporate ladder. But at this time, both Ryuan and Hiri chose to stay quiet. It creates a situation where if Class B vetoes, then Class C is willing to exchange their voting rights for the opportunity to join the student union. Because, although 4 million may be lost, once the new students enroll, whether it is direct squeeze or residual value, it will be enough for them to make a lot of money. Therefore, Ryuan and Shiina classmates also chose to assess the situation. And as soon as they remained quiet, they immediately put pressure on Kanzaki and the others in Class B. In the last special examination, the students of Class C still wanted to use black methods. Although they did not find the loophole in Class B in the end, Class C, Ryuan is back now, and he is indeed a guy that makes people think twice. It's very stressful for Class B, who doesn't know how to conspire and be upright. Are you going to be surpassed by Ryuan and the others? Can't do it? Then the students in first grade Class B and Class C went to vote in a not-so-good mood. The student council president has a chance to expel the student council first and then later. Faced with Hirata-san who still wanted to seek benefits for his classmates, Oreki-san said this. Senior Nagayun wanted to target me before. The students in Class D also quickly became behaving. Because no one wants to get fired. At least, Hirata definitely can't do it. He does not want and cannot see his classmates fall behind again. And the other side. As a candidate, Sakayanagi Arisu already knew from the Sakayanagi faction that his classmates had received balls representing voting rights. In order to show their loyalty, the students in the class had already thrown the green ball they received from Mr. Majima into the ballot box without permission. Kiriyama-senpai has a red ball, but Sakayanagi here has a green ball. Although I feel the green sphere is a little uncomfortable. But the color was just a representation, so she didn't say anything. But Sakayanagi didn't say anything, and the puppy beside him knew how to work. The 40 votes in our class are safe, Kamuro said while staring at the screen of his phone. I received a lot of messages in just a few minutes. And now I see the seniors and seniors from Class C and Class D of the 3rd grade going to the ballot box at the entrance of the cafeteria one after another. They shot the green ball. Sakayanagi, you now have more than 40 votes, Kamuro-san reported. And now it's more than 80 votes. The 3rd year Class C and the 3rd year Class D voted quickly as if they had completed the task. Kamuro-san confirmed the information that his companions had taken photos and elaborated. And students from Class B and Class C of the 1st grade also came to vote. Really? After all, it was Oreki-san who went to canvass for votes, but Sakayanagi held the cane gently. He's always been very efficient. There are 412 students in the school, with the 2nd grade having the smallest number. Oreki-san attracted 157 votes from 1st-year students and 60 votes from 3rd-year classes C and D, reaching half the number. Not to mention, there are tickets from grade 3 class that can be used as spare tires. However, it's time for us to take action, Sakayanagi said. Kamuro didn't understand. My Oreki-san has opened the way. Then let me handle the next few minor nuisances, Sakayanagi said. But Kamuro-san doesn't seem to understand yet. Then Sakayanagi said, my opinion is to increase the success rate of me becoming the student council president from 99.999% to 100%, Arisu said. You mean? Kamuro quickly followed the frail girl holding the cane. Go and make 0.0001% of the impossible possible, Arisu said aggressively. Because it costs money to canvass votes, but some votes can be obtained without spending any money. So, she went looking for someone who could give her votes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 459. The special examination is over, and the canvassing activities of the respective candidates' supporters and themselves are going on. And soon the 3rd day came, the day when the results were announced. Now let's count the votes each candidate received, Sakayanagi from 1st year Class A and Kiriyama from 2nd year Class B. 1 vote for Kiriyama. 1 vote for Kiriyama. Sakayanagi 1 vote. Sakayanagi 1 vote. 3 days later, Horikita Gakuin gathered all students to carry out the final task of the student council. Announcement of student council president. They moved 2 large ballot boxes directly in front of the entire school students and counted the votes in an open and fair manner in front of all students. In addition, 2 students deliberately cast 2 votes. Their votes were treated as illegal, and 100,000 private points were deducted from each. The shortfall in points will be paid in installments. This caused some uproar among the students. Their respective teachers had told them that it was best not to break the rules, but who knew they would be deducted money, and if the deduction was 0, they would be in debt if they were not enough. But the counting of votes at the summit continues. The final result is Kiriyama 64 votes. Sakayanagi Yuza 346 votes. Congratulations to Mr. Sakayanagi, who was elected student council president with an overwhelming majority of votes. Next, Let's invite the new student president to speak. Horikita Manabu gave up the microphone. Thank you, President Horikita, for your cultivation, and everyone in the student council for your usual care. President Sakayanagi walked up to the summit. Although Horikita announced it in public, Kiriyama probably already knew the result, so he just closed his eyes. Obviously knowing he lost. I'm grateful for everyone's vote. Although 64 votes did not elect me, I also admit that Kiriyama-senpai is very capable and there is no way that everyone will be conquered by his personal charm. Next, I hope that the following classmates can help me form a student union to maintain the order of the school. Barabara. Sakayanagi had already been prepared. Then began the announcement of the list of students she chose for the student council. Victory is guaranteed. It was probably about her current situation. But Tongshan suddenly looked in a direction. Class A, 2nd grade. Staring at the representative of Class A of the 2nd grade standing in the front row, Nagamo Yat. Nagamo is the de facto leader of the 2nd grade. And he will support Kiriyama. In other words, Kiriyama can probably get all the votes in the 2nd grade. But no. In other words, Nanyun finally chose to betray him. There was a smile on Nayunya's lips. He was originally a very good-looking boy, and with his blonde hair, high academic ability, and talent in sports, he looked very charming. But what he is most satisfied with is standing in line. Listen. The new student president is speaking. I ask Nagamo-senpai from 2nd year Class A to be my right-hand man. Nagamo-senpai, please become my student union vice president. Listen. Invite classmate Kahei Katsuragi to continue to be secretary. Invite Kanzaki-san and Ichino-san to take up the position of accountant. Ryuo and Sho, Ishizaki Daiichi will do the chores. And Yasukirita and Kikyo Kushida from Class D, 1st grade, are members of the discipline committee. Please help me, the above students. Listen. He is the only vice president. So say it. Oreki Houtarou, where are you? This reminded Nagamo that after Horikoku Manabu announced the vote, Sakayanagi Yuzu approached him. Give me your 2nd year ticket and I'll let you resume your position as vice president of the student union. Take a look. It was clear that he had been so arrogant during the itchy nose incident before, but at this time, didn't Sakayanagi still have to judge the situation? Nanyun asked her to write a letter of guarantee and record it as evidence. Don't worry about her going back on her word. Nagamo knew that Oreki Houtarou was a succubus. Whether it was Suzun or Kushida Kikyo whom he met at the beginning, as well as Ichino-senpai and Sakayanagi Arasu, they all had a good personal relationship with him. And Sakayanagi, like Houtarou Oreki, is a student in Class A. It also has the convenience of being near water and terrace. Therefore, the relationship between the two is ambiguous. They are often seen eating together. Indeed. Sakayanagi was cute and weak, which seemed to suit his taste. Although he had been angered by it, he always bowed his head. And what about Oreki Houtarou? Now there is no Oreki Houtarou's name in the list of new members of the student council announced by Sakayanagi. In other words, although Sakayanagi Arasu looks cute, he is a very realistic person. Because of Ichino's intervention, her relationship with Houtarou Oreki was destroyed. The reason why there has been no attack is because Oreki Houtarou still needs to be used to canvass votes. So, it's a pity. Even if we eat together every day, Oreki-senpai, you are just Sakayanaga's tool. And the current Oreki-senpai, have you seen it? Are you heartbroken? However, Nagamo looked in the direction of 1st year Class A and found that Oreki-senpai was not among them. Of course. Because today is the weekend, as an energy-saving man, of course I did not come to school. He has no interest in rallies whose outcome is already known. Yeah, because the weather was cold, he picked up the cat from Sakayanagi and took him home for 2 days. At this time, cats become natural hand warmers. Meow Meow Hate quickly squatted down and licked the hair that had been touched by his master back to normal. Warm your hands again. Hate. Meow Meow. Next, I would like to invite the new Student Council President, President Sakayanagi, to speak. The day after the next Student Council President was announced, President Sakayanagi held a school-wide student assembly and gave his first speech as Student Council President. It was a truly captivating speech. When the old President Horikita Manabu retreated to the backstage, a voice came from the side. Nagamo. Before Horikita Manabu opened his mouth, the former secretary Tachibana Akane, who was following him, let out an exclamation. Then he stared at Naun with a hostile look. Yes. During the forest exam, Nagamo followed the rules and made class A of the 3rd grade pay a huge price, and now they still owe money to Oreki. And if Nanyun hadn't interfered, everyone would have graduated richer. So, Nagamo is the enemy. And this enemy actually ran in front of them without any scruples. Tachibana Akane is in a state of vigilance towards Nagamo. And Manabu Horikita frowned and stood between Nagamo and Tachibana Akane. Don't be so nervous, Nagamo said, I just came here because I have something to say to Horikita-senpai. As the vice president of the student union, Horikita said expressionlessly. Yes, Nagamo nodded. After all, I was promoted to this position by Horikita-senpai. Although Horikita-senpai dismissed me, I used my own strength to climb back up. Is it? Horikita Manabu thought he was here to provoke. But after analysis, it was found that it was not. Because Nagamoya continued, there are very few people I admire, and Horikita-senpai is one of them. He leads a class that is lagging behind, but he has been making steady progress. I admire you very much. It's just that I entered school a year late and can't compete with you, so I can only use this despicable method of supporting Class B of the 3rd grade. I'm really sorry. Jujian was in a daze. Because Nagamo is apologizing? Anyway, the past is in the past and I feel very ashamed. Oreki Houtarou's Strength First Classroom. Author, Yu Yet. Chapter 460. Third-year students still have special exams in the last month, and they probably won't score much, so Horikita-senpai, you will graduate as Class A. And I will catch up with my seniors by this time next year. I hope my seniors can take me to the same place by then. Saying this, Nanyun turned around neatly and left the gymnasium. This move made Tachibana a little dazed. So, maybe Naunya is not the bad guy you imagined. Jujian looked at Na Yun's back as he left neatly and was in a daze for a few seconds. Because the attitude Naun showed just now was neither cunning nor excessive. It is purely a desire to find ways to compete when you meet your opponent. That may be true of him, but his path is still astray, Horikita said. What do you mean? Jujian still didn't understand. He probably made some kind of deal with Sakayanagi and regained the identity of vice president, but Sakayanagi is a scarier person than me. A more terrifying person. Tachibana was a little confused. Sakayanaga's invitation to join the student council by President Horikita was not just about recognizing each other's achievements, but it was actually a deal between President Horikita and Oreki's Jr. 10 million points. Buy a spot as a candidate for the next student union. This is a school where strength is paramount and points are paramount. As long as you have points, you can buy anything. This is what the head teachers will tell all new students after they enter school. As the student council president, Horikita has no choice but to comply. So it's a deal. And in the past few days since Sakayanagi joined the student union, he hasn't behaved excessively. Rather, the other person is smart and weak, making people full of protective desire. So why did the Horikita Alumni Association use the adjective terrible? Tachibana Akane then looked at Horikita Manabu. Although I have had to resort to some tricks in the past to win, I have always been a man of my word. Horikita explained himself. In other words, I will not go back on what I promised, but Sakayanagi. Definitely not this kind of person. And such a person is a genuine politician, Horikita Manabu commented. She can be pushed out by Oreki. Or rather, Oreki chooses to spend points to make a deal with me, which means that Sakayanagi cannot fully gain my approval. In other words, she is definitely not a good person. That is to say, Tachibana-chan gently covered her lips. Because she seemed to have thought of a very bad outcome for Nanyun. Yes, Horikita Manabu said with certainty, Nanyun must have been deceived. Not only was he deceived, but he was also used as a chess piece by his subordinates. Then, just after the handover between the old and new student council presidents was completed, the vice president of the student council, Nagamo Masaru, was immediately expelled from the student council by President Sakayanagi. The list of student council members has also been correctly corrected. Chapter 198 Maisumi Kamuro, this student council list is incredible. Today is Monday. Students need time in class. By the way, Oreki-san didn't come to the gymnasium yesterday or the day before yesterday. Did something happen? Oreki-san came to the class and had just put down his school bag when he was immediately talked to. But it's not Sakayanagi-san sitting next to me. Sakayanagi-san's seat is empty. As the new student president, she needs to go to the student union office before arriving in the classroom in the morning. According to the message she sent in the morning, it seems that she is preparing to update the list of student union members. On this point, Oreki-san has no objection. Judging from the number of votes Sakayanagi received, he did not do the second-year ideological work, so he probably cheated the votes from Nagamo-senpai. So naturally I have to deal with the little tail. So the only one left in the class was Katsuragi-san, who was named the student council secretary. In fact, not only Katsuragi-san, but also the atmosphere in class has changed. Become more energetic and energetic. It's like being buffed. This is of course, because there is a student council president in my class. As students in class A, we are better at collecting information than students in other classes. They obtain information not only from teachers, but also from seniors in the club. So I know the value of a student council president. For example, when Katsuragi-san first entered school, he spent 1 million points to buy the position of student union secretary from Oreki-san. The gold content is very high. The student council president has higher authority. Even though there will be dozens of special exams in the next 2 years or so, the student council president has the choice of the score each time. You can lower your score to maintain your advantage when there is a big gap between your score and that of the lower class. You can also increase the score when the next class is trying to catch up, so that once class A wins, the score will be reduced again. This was obviously a private use of the authority of the student council president. But, if you want to refuse, then become the student council president. From this perspective, as a student in Class A, my long-term goal of graduating from the 3rd grade is reassuring. For it. When Katsuragi-san struck up a conversation, Oreki-san was thinking about the reason. The real reason is that it's the weekend and the result is a given, so Oreki-san doesn't want to waste his weekend time to get there. But to put it this way, it seems that we are not focused enough on the collective. After some thought, Oreki-san decided to change the topic. There's a little something, Oreki said. But Katsuragi-san, after Sakayanagi-san becomes the president, is there anything you want to propose? This sentence is somewhat interesting. Previously, Horikita Manabu served as the student council president. This president was fair, hard-working, and diligent. At the same time, it is similar to the type where members are too good and don't dare to give suggestions. As for Sakayanagi, neither Oreki-san nor Sakayanagi-san has any interest in the job of student council president. After all, they want the position of student council president. If you don't trust this position to others, just hold it in your hands. But now that I have obtained this position, I still need to make some achievements. Therefore, Katsuragi-san's role comes in handy. Me. Indeed, I have an idea, Katsuragi-san said. I'm wondering why the school requires students not to leave school for 3 years. Then you can't contact your loved ones. My parents passed away very early, and my sister and I depended on each other. My sister's birthday will be in a few days, and I can't celebrate it for her. Although you can entrust the student council to hand over birthday gifts, you still need to pay a high amount of points as a fee. And if you leave school for a short time, it will cost a huge amount of 1 million. I wonder if this system is really correct. Katsuragi-san didn't know that Oreki-san was using his resume as the new student council president, but he said with some annoyance. Indeed. Katsuragi-san is regarded as a unit of measurement by Oreki-san as the class representative. For example, Ryuan in class C is equal to 1.5 Katsuragi. And Ichino-san is equal to 1.1 Katsuragi. But it is undeniable that Katsuragi-san is actually a very charming person. When he purchased the position of student union secretary from Oreki, he received 1 million points from the Katsuragi faction. However, after he accumulated points, he returned the points he had collected from the Katsuragi faction to them. And Yahiko is his iron core. Although he wants to keep his iron core, he ultimately chooses the interests of the class over the interests of the class. Also know the general idea. And now, he is showing the status of an older brother. Thinking about my sister outside school. That's what total isolation means. And absolute isolation means that the school wants to fully cultivate students according to their ideas. Communication with the outside world will undoubtedly disrupt this. And if you want to avoid this, you either drop out of school or you stay. Oreki-san answered his question. You mean? Katsuragi paused and looked at Oreki, you stay in the school after graduation and start as a teacher? Then you sit in the positions of principal and chairman, and then change the school from top to bottom? It's possible, and you can also imagine what the future will look like, Oreki said. What will the future look like? This made Katsuragi really start to think. For example, 10 years, 20 years later, he became a teacher at this school. Although you no longer require accommodation, don't be too presumptuous. After all, this is a place where strength is paramount. Special exams will be held every month. Katsuragi imagined himself in the position of a teacher. But some students raised their hands. That was the child of Shianahiri, one of the past representatives of Class C. It was probably someone's illegitimate child. It was difficult to reveal the identity of the father, so the child's surname was still that of Shiana's classmate. Teacher, if the exam questions don't require answering on the spot, can I go home and ask my parents? In other words, she wanted to go back to her mother Hiri Shiana for answers. It is indeed a practice to not request off-site. But this fails to cultivate the child's own potential. That's why the school mandates boarding and doesn't allow students to contact their parents. Katsuragi felt that he understood the school a little bit. But I haven't been home for a long time, some students complained. They are the children of former classmates Sakayanagi-san and Oreki-san. The other person is very smart and seems to have no interest in anyone.